We're live at Expert35. I'm your host, Gabriel Garcia, and as promised, bringing you experts from 35 different industries, talking about the challenges, talking about the hardship, and the opportunities. And today we're going to talk about opportunities. We're going to talk about the ultimate selfie. We'll tell you what it's all about. I got Megan. Megan, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Gabriel. I'm so excited to be here.
So excited, so timely. I mean, we've already had other people talk about college, the road to college, and just how do you find your passion? And that's really kind of what Expert 35 is all about. Is we're trying to help people regroup, refocus. We did it. Expert 35 is the result of regrouping and refocusing. So I'm super excited to learn more and just have people just kind of join the conversation and really be part of this whole new world of becoming yourself. But before we jump in there, guys, text expert35 to the number on the screen if you know somebody that wants to be that you think would be a great expert to show on our show. We'd love to have them. I know I keep saying 35 different industries expert. Well, we got expert 71, Megan. So we have actually had, man, we've done almost over 100 shows, I bet.
Wow.
That's probably something Greg could jump in and chime in on. But if you text expert 71, you're going to get Megan's contact info, and we'll tell you a little bit about the magic that Megan does. But before we jump into it, I mean, we're going to talk about finding your passion and being who you're meant to be. Megan, how did you do it?
You know, I started very young at 21 as a high school math teacher and realized that I loved it. I was working in my passion. At 16 years old, said I wanted to be a teacher and did it. Went to South Bend, Indiana, St. Mary's Notre Dame, got my degree in education, walked into my first classroom and was like, that's it. I did it. And through the process of education, I realized that education was my passion. And I know that we'll get to the details of how I ended up where I am today. But, you know, I really did still stay in the educational space and rooted in the foundation of, you know, empowering tomorrow's thinkers today. So started in the traditional high school classroom, transitioned to business ownership about 7 years ago, and then created the ultimate selfie through all of the experiences that I had.
Man, the ultimate selfie is something you've kind of created, and you're trying to create like a whole idea of, you went through this transition for yourself,
Yeah.
right? And give us a little bit of what that means. And I love the name because I think selfie was the word of the year in 2015, and it's probably still. So what does it mean?
I'm in the process, trademark pending and copyright pending, of the ultimate selfie. It's been an interesting transition into that because every time somebody Googles it, it's obviously all about taking a picture. I've defined it as a filterless view of the world, and it's a filterless view of you, right? And so what the ultimate selfie really is a journey of who you are from a core values and strengths perspective, specifically designed for tweens, teens, and young adults, on understanding who they are to then align it to their passions. Back when I was in high school, we would say, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? And anesthesiologist was like a go-to answer because anesthesiologists made a lot of money in our eyes, right? But none of that was ever connected to who we were as people. As much as I wanted to make a lot of money as a teenager, I didn't really connect that it was going to be a lifetime of for myself, that I was just not going to be connected to it like I am with education. And so what the ultimate selfie does is help teens and participants understand who they are first from their core values and strengths, and then aligns it to their passions, ultimately ending in a 90-day plan of success.
And it's so important. I got to go. You already got questions. People are blowing you up. So, is there any special equipment? Like, what do you need to be able to dive into your selfie and your passion?
So right now, no. You need a computer and you need
Mhm.
internet access, which is something that we've realized in the last year of the transition of 2020 to be a powerful shift in education. All you need is a computer, a camera, and internet access. Now, while I'm working hard on closing the gap on making sure that every single child has that, I we now as a society realize that education can be done anywhere, just given a little bit of internet and a computer. So there's no special equipment needed.
And one of the things that I love is we were talking about, finding your passion, and your passion isn't necessarily spoon fed to you. I mean, it can't be, right? And one of the things that resonated with me, we talked offline, you were saying parents and school systems teach kids like the system and somehow system to success. And then high school, it's like you're supposed to be an adult instantly. What was that quote?
So there was a quote that I heard during a professional development all about we're expecting kids at 18 years old to make adult decisions when 6 months before they were raising their hand to go to the bathroom. And so when we talk about that, it's exactly what we have on the screen here. It's my program helps to facilitate non-Googleable knowledge. Now, when we talk about non-Googleable knowledge, we're talking about things that you can't exactly put into the little Google search bar and get 1,000 hits on. It's like, what is my passion is not Googleable. How to find my passion might be, and there might
Right.
be a stone to get there, but exactly what your passion is, that's what differentiates us from AI. So we're definitely facilitating some non-Googleable knowledge in the program as well.
And I think one of the things you address the most is a question Greg's asking, is college really necessary? But I think that's resonating with a lot of what you're talking about. Parents are like, I want my child to go to college. Why does he not want to go? What's going to make him successful? So how can you speak to that question?
So just like I said earlier, like the last year, the 2020 year has shown the inequities of education that existed pre any of the changes that we've seen, right? And so college in and of itself also showed the inequities in which it's not for everyone, right? But it's not like my program tells somebody that wants to be a doctor to learn on YouTube. It's more, why do you want to be a doctor? Let's connect you to that passion first. Then let's put you on a path of success to get there. Or if you want to go to Malaysia and open a business, like let's put you on a path to get there. College in itself is society's like safe passage, I believe, for teenagers on having a plan for the next 4 years, right? So when we talk about college, like what is it? It's a plan. So how can we create resources and create different kinds of templates for students to create the plan that may or may not include college? So yes, it's necessary for some industries, and in some cases it's not.
Yeah, and I'm a huge believer in trades. Like own your talent. Use that, because a lot of times somebody is passionate about something and they don't understand it.
Right.
They don't understand why they're driven to that. So Jennifer's got a great question. Is like, what's the most common questions, or like and there's another one about have questions changed, but what's a question we should ask ourselves?
So part of the program actually goes through like how to find my passion. And one of the top questions that are asked are, what is something that you can lose track of time doing? So something that you
Mhm.
really delve into, if on your phone we get notifications all day long, right?
Right.
Are the notifications or the blurbs that you'll actually click on even in your most busy times of the day, because it like automatically clicks you, right? If I get an email like this morning about an article that was posted all about instructional design for social emotional learning, I clicked it and started reading it immediately. I had about 7 minutes from my next meeting to my next interview here, but I still took those 7 minutes because that's intriguing to me. That is my passion. And so when I work with teens and tweens, I say to them, what is it about, for example, video games that really intrigues you? Now we can get into the science of why they're interested in video games, but we can go into more details into why they play Spider-Man versus Fortnite versus being the team leader versus, there's little tiny nuggets of gold within each of their passions or in each of their habits that really can define what their passions are.
Great question from Greg. It's a little bit of a extrapolation, but he's like, how has at-home learning affected students, and can the ultimate selfie help with this at-home learning and this shift in education?
So the simple answer is yes, it can. The shift in education, the way that I have described it is we built the plane while flying it. And teachers in and of itself totally did it, and they did it without complaining. They did it just because of their connection to education. Parents are now becoming at home teachers, and this is something that I commend them on. They realize now what a task it is to create an educational environment. And within the Ultimate Selfie, we teach time management skills. We teach soft skills such as building and setting SMART goals, and then creating your plan of success based on long-term and short-term goals. So all of those are soft skills that can be utilized to actually structure an effective at-home learning environment. So at-home learning really gives the responsibility to the student, especially in the age group that I'm looking at. And without the skills of being able to time manage or time block or keeping yourself more responsible because teachers aren't constantly reminding you to turn stuff in, it really does set them up for failure unless there is a very, very intuitive parent at home that's helping them set up those skills and set up those schedules. The Ultimate Selfie helps with that as well.
Here's a really interesting question. What soft skills can kids learn to perform more effectively?
So I touched on one just now. Time management is something that, even us as experts in our own fields, time blocking and living on your calendar is so important in this day and age. And then also being able to disseminate what is important and how long it's going to take you, and then taking time off. So one of the things that I kind of counsel my students on is, when you are learning something, cramming for something, yes, we all do it, right? We've all crammed for that test every once in a while, or the procrastination is huge. But being able to time chunk different things within their schedule is definitely a skill that can take them further just outside of the classroom even.
Great advice. Another great question from Jennifer is like, what's your best advice to parents? And especially, I guess we're talking, you've got two customers, right? The child, which thinks they're an adult, the parent, which think they know best for them, but you're really trying to help people find their passion. So what would you be your advice to a parent?
So parents, it skipped a generation, right? This whole idea of alternative forms of education beyond high school. It started really, with my generation a little bit, but most of my friends went on, the track of the community college and or traditional four-year institutions. Now we've, delved into this world of cryptocurrencies, and we've delved into this world of entrepreneurship and gap years, and really and truly just be open with what your kids are coming to you with, and don't shoot down their ideas right away. When I talk to my parents, I talk to them about this, right? Like, if it scares you, like, keep listening. Because in some cases, and in most cases, students may have ideas that you may not have thought of before, right? And you may not have traditionally thought that it was a plan for them. So when I talk to my parents, listening is a skill, and then listening to understand versus listening to respond is something that I hone in on.
Super important. Here's a really interesting question about a gap year. What's the best way to structure a gap year? Do you think gap years are important, or are they good ideas? I guess that's part of my question.
Gap years for the right student are important. The reason that I say for the right student, it's the same structure as I go with planning for all of my students. If I feel that the student needs slightly more structure, I wouldn't recommend a gap year. But for somebody that has really delved into their academics, or delved into a sport, or delved into their passion in high school, and really wants to explore that pathway, a gap year can be very beneficial. The biggest advice I give to a gap year or a traditional college setting is really making a plan, right? And sticking to it. So the 90 days is where we start with the Ultimate Selfie, and then it can grow from there.
Right. And I think I'm what I'm capturing from what you're saying is the Ultimate Selfie is about them. It's not about the parents. It's not about it's not even including the parents, right? I mean, it's really listening listening. I love that, listening to understand. And I think this kind of resonates. There's a great question on LinkedIn, so I put it in here. Is like, my child wants to have impact, and it was in quotes. I didn't put it in quotes. what did what does that even mean? And like, because they want a job because that's safe, that has impact. But really, you should find something you're passionate about and create a career and a life around it, right? Like, how would you speak to that?
So impact for me is really important. This generation, and I would say in the last four generations of high school graduates, we've seen this get deeper and deeper, and of them connecting to social impact and social injustices, and being able
Mhm.
to really feel the difference in what they're doing. Right. This co-work, this virtual learning environment that they're in also leads itself to assume that they can create jobs that also kind of sort of scratch that itch of being able to travel and being remote. And so when we talk about children wanting to have impact, we were talking about being able to scratch that itch that we feel when we go, feed the homeless for one weekend, or
Mhm.
donate to Goodwill, or whatever it is. Human nature, I think we're connected to that kind of feel good feeling. What we see in our younger generations is they want that on a daily basis. They're hungry for it all the time.
Right.
And exactly. And so we saw it with Parkland, with the kids at Parkland, that really created a change based on what they experienced. And when we talk about kids having impact, that's what we're talking about.
Great question from Jennifer. Are there different approaches, girls and boys?
My first gut answer is no. I will say that I think it's individual. There are different approaches for different types of thinkers in my mind, right? I don't want to generalize based on gender per se, but there are definitely some differences when I first work with them. Me being and identifying as a female, sometimes I can connect to certain girls a little bit more based on their experiences. But in terms of the approach of the ultimate selfie, because it is so much centered around who the child is, or the teen or the young adult is individually, it's really driven by them. And so when I say that, it doesn't really identify with whether or not they're a girl or a boy. It's how transparent, how honest can they be when they're ultimately looking at the questions and answering them themselves.
Perfect answer. All right, my favorite part of the show, Megan, is be actionable. 3 things parents or children need to do right now.
So I said this earlier, and I'll say it again: listen to understand versus listen to respond. Secondly is educate, right? And so when we talk about educating yourselves on, that sounds interesting that my child brought to me. So let me go take a few minutes before I respond to them and educate myself on what they're exactly talking about. And the last one is having fun in the process. Part of what I do every single day is have fun with my participants and my clients, and then also laugh with them. It is nature's best medicine.
So great, so good advice. So good having you on the show. I don't think you understand how structured, like how life is changing for these parents, and they're struggling because they've seen their life change. I've had so many of my friends went to college thinking, I'm going to work for this company. Like, they were scared of me running my own business because it was unsafe, and I'm seeing them getting laid off left and right. Right, they're disposable, and they're not even loving what they're doing. So I love what I do, and I think people can see it every day that I get up. Like, I don't need to set an alarm to get up, and I think that's kind of what the ultimate selfie is about. Is like, hey, let's find what gets you out of bed.
Yes.
And I got your logo up here. I'm going to put your, they can text selfie to your Textify number, and you offer like a virtual conference. Tell us a little bit of what you offer.
Yeah. And then anybody that texts within the next week or so, I'm offering an additional 30 minutes for that consultation, specifically for the Expert 305 viewers. So I'm excited for that as well.
That's awesome. I love the connection. Love learning more, and I really like the fact that you have this balance. It's not like, oh, let's get them to an Ivy League school, let's get them to college. You really look at them. And I think that's really important, and that's why you're expert 71, because it's really interesting finding people that are passionate, people that are going through it. Like we've got somebody in there, Magali, right? Giving you a shout out. So we're gonna let you go into the chat and answer questions. If there's resources that you can link to, there's questions about resources, questions about like how to coach, how to like get your how to listen. I think if there's a resource on how to listen, that would be one that I would like to learn too. I mean, this show's taught me a lot about listening because I'm not an expert in this show. I become the one that just learns just through having people like you on the show. So we'd love to have you back, Megan. Congrats on the launch. This is something you did during COVID too, right? The selfie
It is
piece has been
definitely a baby of COVID. And wow. It's been a journey.
amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. We'll let you go in the chat, and we hope to have you back soon. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Gabe.
Guys, that was Megan. Incredible. If you want to join and learn more about her, you can text Selfie to the number on the screen. The Fit Solutions will take care of you. Will help you work through all the challenges you're having with your child, with your family, and even with yourself. So couldn't have thought of somebody better and more timely. Again, my name is Gabriel with Expert35. We'll see you guys soon.
We collaborate at Expert35. This is for a better tomorrow and a better today. Let's come together, and together we will find a way. You got questions, we got solutions. You got problems, we got resolutions. Visit expert35.com. No need to worry, just remain calm. No